And just like that, we're back. Usual section under Matt and Brian. Bringing you a two-man show today. This one, Jack is at a concert on behalf of SeatGeek, so love to see that. Jack enjoyed the concert. We will hold it down here. But big one today, NLCS, ALCS. Baseball's winding down, but as it winds down, always just means it gets even crazier. Winners and losers in this one, college football recap as well. Kind of ending it with the NFL preview of the upcoming weekend. We have a monster slate this weekend coming up. I was looking through it, and some of the games we're previewing, potential Super Bowl matchups, potential playoff matchups. It's a big weekend, and I can't wait to jump into it. And of course, as always, it didn't go anywhere. Mike of the Week will wrap us up, and send us off into the weekend. So big show today, action-packed, two-man, Brian and myself, Matt, will bring you through it all. And it all starts, with the NLCS here, as it's tied 1-1, back to Citi Field. And, Brian jinxed the Mets in game one. They got pummeled. What was it, 9-0, 10-0? And,
Yeah, that wasn't great. I definitely jinxed them by saying I was confident. They came out looking a little too confident themselves, I think. And Kodai Senga, maybe he's not ready to be pitching in big spots yet.
Yeah, I don't know that he is either. He didn't look sharp against the Phillies in that game one. Sure, they only, Phillies only got one run out of it, and it stayed pretty much scoreless until that eighth inning. But let up the leadoff home run, couple walks there and here and there. But I was even shocked to see. I thought Kodai Senga was not going to let up a single run against the Phillies, but I guess I'm being pretty harsh. Either way, rocked that. And I tried to tell Brian this. I tried he's got the blinders on about this Mets pitching staff.
Okay, I knew you were going to bring this up. And no, Kodai Senga has not been there during this run. Kodai Senga has not been part of the pitching staff that I'm talking about that has been good. But who has? Shamanea, and he just had a great start against the Dodgers.
He did. And sure, you can say Kodai hasn't been there, but Kodai's supposed to be the guy. Kodai's supposed to be the guy that can come in, get plugged in, and doesn't have to be there, but should come in and be sharp right away. Everybody has that stat, and he should be that guy. And he came in, and he wasn't that guy. And you could say he hasn't been there, but this is his second playoff series. He was there against the Phillies at start of game one. He came in with the chance to go up 1-0 in the National League Championship Series, and they got rocked. So, I think whether you plug and play guys are here, guys are not there. The Mets pitching staff, a baseball pitching staff, is a whole. Regardless of plugging guys
yes,
in, plugging guys
but
out,
I've been talking about their
whole.
pitching staff that has been playing. Kodai Senga isn't part of that.
I think he is. He's part of the staff.
Well, he is now, but he hasn't been.
And he got rocked. And I think we'll see tonight. Who's on the mound? Severino?
Yep.
I think we'll see tonight some magic for the Dodgers in Citi Field. It's unbelievable. And again, Brian cut me off as I was trying to say it so I can tell everybody else what I was about to say is the Brewers are horrible. The Phillies were horrible. And the Dodgers are the first real lineup that the staff has to face. And already, what do they have? 13 runs against in 2 games? 14 runs against in 2 games? You say whatever you want about Senga. The whole bullpen helped blow that first game up as well. It wasn't all Senga. So, what's it, 13, 14 runs against in 2 games? That's 12. Against the pitching staff.
They lost 9-0, and they held the Dodgers to 3 runs in game 2.
12 against in 2 games.
It was Kodai Senga. He put him behind the 8 ball.
Averaging the staff is averaging 6 runs against per game in the championship series. Look, that's what the stat says it is. Now, you can nitpick it all you want.
Oh my God.
That's what the numbers say, Brian.
They lost 9-0 in game 1. Of course, they're going to be giving up a lot of runs per game. They played 2 games and they gave up 9-1.
Yep, that's what happens. So, obviously, big game tonight for both sides. Who's on the bump for the Dodgers? Because Dodgers lineup is good, but just because I'm bragging on the Mets pitching staff, the Dodgers pitching staff is not particularly great either. I know Jack Flaherty came in, had a big game 1, but other than that, Do they get Glass now back at some point, or is he
No,
completely
he's
shut
done.
down?
Their
Yeah,
three
so
starters
he's
they have healthy are Flaherty, Walker Bueller, and Yamamoto, and it's Walker Bueller tonight.
Yamamoto's there, and then what was so? Yeah, game two was a bullpen game. I thought I saw Ethan Knack in there.
Yeah, it was they started with blanking on his name, but it started with a B, and then they went to Knack, and then they had like five guys. So it was a bullpen
Yeah,
game.
so bullpen game two. That's why no panic button if you're the Dodgers. I can't believe I have to like take an angle for the Dodgers, dude. I hate both teams, but I sure as hell don't want to see like I don't want to see a New York team win. I'm already terrified it's going to be Mets Yankees in the World Series, and I'm gonna have to root for the Yankees. I'm gonna have to. I can't root for the Mets. I can't. I can As much as I don't want to root for the Yankees, I can't sit here and convince myself I'm probably not even going to watch. I'll check the update on Bleach Report after. But if it's Mets Yankees, I have to root for the Yankees because I can't ever root for the Mets. And two, I have to like just hope it's a 4 game sweep so we can just get it out of the way. Like if that game goes 7 games and I have to sit here for a week and a half, days in between games, I'm not looking forward to it. But speaking of the ALCS, it's still not over. 2-0 Yankees go back to Cleveland. Look, we saw this on the other side of the National League last year when the Phillies had to go to Arizona with a 2-0 lead, and then we're limping back to Citizens Bank Park up 3-2 to drop 2 straight home games to lose the National League Championship and ultimately probably lose the World Series. I'm fully confident they would have beat the Rangers. Um, yeah, Yankees up 2-0 have looked dominant. Second game, little shaky. Guardians tried to mount the comeback, and again, the bats got it done. Now, if you're the Yankees, are you scared to go play in Cleveland? I don't think so. I think the Yankees should. This is a lot easier battle than maybe the Phillies had last year when they had to go to Arizona. But yeah, Bright, are you confident the Guardians maybe have a little bit of juice to steal 2 games, drop
No,
a third, get it back to the Bronx down 3-2, or is this series over in Cleveland?
no, the series is over, and I'm glad you mentioned the Phillies because that was not how these normally go when a team goes up 2-0. It's 88% of the time the team that goes up 2-0 in the championship series moves on to the World Series. And Cleveland just they're kind of like the Diamondbacks from last year, except they're not as fundamentally sound. We saw it in game two. They're dropping pop-ups, they're getting picked off the base paths. They just didn't look good. And even with Aaron Judge hitting 167 in the postseason, the Yankees are still scoring runs and they're still winning these games pretty easily. And we talked about the Celtics in the Eastern Conference having a cakewalk to the NBA Finals. The Yankees are having a cakewalk to the World Series here. And I know you shit on the Brewers and you shit on your own Phillies, but the Mets, if they do get by the Dodgers, they would have beaten every division champion on the National League side, while the Yankees get to play this NL Central that does not look good at all.
You mean the AL Central,
AL
but I know what
Central.
you mean. Because the NL Central and the AL Central is, for lack of better words, a joke. Every year we see this of a team emerge, a team has 90 plus wins, and then the MLB puts them way high in the power rankings and this, that, and the third, and they get all the hype, and nothing ever comes from it. Nothing ever comes from it. I mean, how depressed was that Brewers radio announcer when he was signing off for the final time of 2024 season? Like, this is rinse and repeat. Like, I know Philadelphia, we're harsh on our teams in and out. And again, the Phillies are definitely trending. I mean, 3 years in a row now of probably should have winning it all. And complete collapse. Other than the World Series, I won't call that a complete collapse, but full blown regression every year. I mean, like the Brewers emerge out of the NLCS. You can always bet on them to win that division, and nothing comes from it. Nothing comes from it. It's always out in the wild card round. It's always a home wild card loss. And we see the same thing on the American League side. With I guess it's a little more mixed up on, hey, is it the Guardians? Hey, is it the Twins? Like what teams come out of that division? But either way, American League or National League, the Central Division needs to figure something out because it's been pretty brutal over the last 5, 10, whatever years. And I know the Indians made it in 2017 and Lindor had a swing and a drive, but they did lose game seven.
Yeah, the Cubs won it the year before, but since then it hasn't really been anything. And yeah, I do feel bad for Bob Uecker. You brought it up, but I don't know if this was his last year. But this man's 90 years old, and he has to watch the Brewers just choke it every single year. It must not be
You
fun
can
for
hear
him.
it in his voice, man. You can hear it in his voice. He's not happy to. He's happy to be there, but holy shit, is he tired?
Yeah, dude,
And I would be too.
I thought the way the Brewers fans had signs and stuff, I thought he was dead. Like they were like, win
Yeah.
it for Euchre. But like, no, he's just sick of seeing collapses.
It's
And
just, yeah, he's been there forever, and he's like doesn't have many years left to watch Brewers baseball.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, look, I don't know how the NLCS is gonna fare out. We get, I guess, the answer as we're all watching this today on Thursday morning. But ALCS is tonight, technically, Bry. So, did Cleveland get a win to salvage this series and have a shot? You seem to think this is a 4 game sweep.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Yankees are sending Clark Schmidt to the mound for Game 3, so it's not exactly Garrett Cole. But I don't know. I don't see the series getting out of Cleveland. I don't think they're going back to New York.
I mean, look, everybody said that last year for the Phillies. No, I mean the Phillies won game one, 10-0, won game two. I forget the final score, but they got it done. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be a 4 game sweep. Even if the Phillies lose game three, they're going to win 4 and 5, and the series is over." So, because of the absolute dumpster fire that was last year, disaster that was last year, collapse that was last year, I will hold faith in the Guardians and will say they win at least two, send it back to the Bronx, and probably lose game six. But that's my, I don't know if it's so bold, but somewhat bold prediction is the Guardians salvage 2 games at home, lose the third, and send the game back to the Bronx. So that will be my bold prediction for this series.
I think that's bold, and that's also some wishful thinking on your part because you really want to see Cleveland beat Lindor in the World Series.
I do. I do. I am on that train. Um, I that would make me happy, and I know I said the healing process would start if Andy Painter struck out Jeff McNeil in the fall league game. Whole different debate we can get into. Why is Jeff McNeil playing in the fall league? But other than that, this would be a much better healing process, coping mechanism is if the Cleveland Guardians knock out Lindor in the World Series, which I have to kind of cut my losses because that inevitably means the Mets make the World Series, which is a whole other disaster that I would have to sit through. So there's a lot going on that I can't quite comprehend, and I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, ball prediction: Cleveland salvages 2 games. Although I really don't think it's going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen last year with the Phillies. So I don't know, but we'll see what happens tonight out in Cleveland. But that's really kind of the NL and ALCS. It's tough to get a prediction out of Brian because obviously he wants the Mets to win. I wish I had Jack here to maybe get a third party opinion. And I'm anti-Mets, so you know what you're going to get from me and how I feel about New York sports teams. So I don't think it really holds any weight or value for us to sit here and give out predictions when we all really know it's a biased opinion or a biased prediction. So I think we save that question. Maybe when the World Series happens and we know the final 2 teams, we'll get Jack and then we can dive in on it as well. But like I said, that's the baseball playoffs in a nutshell of what we've seen so far and kind of the championship series, each respectively of what they've been. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens the rest of the way with both leagues. And regardless of how much stress and anxiety I have in the World Series is always fun. It is the fall classic, so I'm excited to watch that. But yeah, I think we should jump into some winners and losers. It's always presented by our great sponsors at SeatGeek. We're back after this.
The best time of the year is here. Football is back. And whether you're going to a game at Jordan-Hare to cheer on Auburn, going to the Link to watch the Birds, or going up to MetLife, not JetLife, Matt, to watch the Giants probably lose, you're going to want to go to SeatGeek, the official sponsor of the Views from Section 400 podcast. New users, $20 off your first purchase by using code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. Again, new users, $20 off your first purchase to any football game, any postseason baseball game, anything you're doing this late summer or fall. Code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout. Thank you to SeatGeek, the official sponsor of the podcast.
And we're back. Thanks to our partner SeatGeek for that quick message. As always, it's winners and losers up in 400, presented by SeatGeek. Brian, who won the week? I'll give you a winner right after.
So college basketball fans, mainly us, we'll start our bracketology in a couple months. It's going to be a lot of fun. But college basketball fans, us, and really college basketball as a sport, on December 4th, 2024, there's a slate that made me foam at the mouth today when I saw it. So we got the AP poll come out. We got the KenPom rankings that came out. And on December 4th, it's the start of the Big 12 Big East Challenge and the SEC and ACC Challenge. We have number 1 Kansas traveling to number 15 Creighton, number 8 Baylor traveling to number 3 UConn, number 18 Marquette traveling number 5 Iowa State, number 2 Alabama taking on UNC in Chapel Hill, and number 11 Auburn going to Cameron Indoor to take on number 7 Duke. It's going to be a hell of a day.
I just loaded $250 into my FanDuel account. Holy smokes, dude.
Yeah.
That's an unbelievable slate. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I'm excited. The only thing I have to say is 18. And you might be like, what the hell does that mean? We're 18 days away from the first full slate of college basketball, November 4th. And now we're recording this a day earlier. I think I did my math right to where it's 18 days from Thursday. I could be off, so pardon me if I'm wrong. But it's about 18 days away. You know what I mean. November 4th, we have the first full slate. It's not my winner of the week, but it's a nice touch on what Brian just said. A month later from November 4th, December 4th, we just get this holy grail of a slate.
Yep.
Is that like during the week as well, or is that a Saturday?
I think it'll be a Thursday, but either way, I really hope.
Right here.
It's
a Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. So
but that is holy smokes.
Yeah, it'll be a fun Wednesday before Thursday night football, and we get all of our like big football games that weekend. It's a hell of an appetizer.
And we're talking about, oh my gosh, so much football in December. We have college basketball in the background. Like, December is going to be a hell of a lot of fun this year that I don't think people are really ready for it. I don't know how you can be, because we've never had college football like this before.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. And I really hope these rankings all hold by the time we get there. I mean, they should. The only team I could really see falling is maybe Iowa State. Maybe that Iowa State Marquette game doesn't look as juicy as it looks now. But all the other teams, like, we could have 3 top 10 matchups by the time December 4th rolls around on the same day.
I absolutely can't wait. And if you guys know, if you're watching, Brian and I are college basketball fanatics. We do give out our bracketology. Yeah, sure, Joe Lenardi does one, but oh, by the way, the boys in Section 400 do one as well. What do we go? Mid-January we dropped our first edition, or when does that first one drop?
So I think we started
mid
about
to end January.
A week after Bull Miss last year. So we'll try to keep that. So somewhere in mid-January.
Okay. Mid-January is fine. I like that. It kind of, a couple games of conference play start. You kind of start feeling out teams and seeing where they're going to match up. And, it's ever-changing up until Selection Sunday. So make sure you tune into that. A couple months away, as Brian said. So going to be some fun stuff there when we start that back up. But I will jump to the NFL for my winner of the week. And I don't know if it's a great winner of the week, but I think it's a notable winner of the week because Drake May came out and threw for 3 touchdowns on Sunday with a horrible supporting cast, horrible defense, a team that's dead in the water. First ever career start, 3 touchdowns. And 3 touchdowns is more than Jacoby Brissett's done all year combine the games. So Drake May will be my winner of the year for coming out, having a great start, 3 touchdowns thrown. and he already leads the team in passing touchdowns after one game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you talk about Jacoby Brissett, but then you go even further back, Mac Jones. I don't know if he ever had a 3 passing touchdown game, let alone
I mean,
in his rookie year.
there's some new life in New England. People were kind of writing this Drake May guy off after he didn't get the nod to open the year as the starting quarterback. If you're a Patriots fan, you have to be like almost like I wouldn't say a full exhale, but you can exhale halfway out right now because Drake May, for what it's worth, look good. You could say some of those were garbage time because the Texans were definitely playing loose, zone defense. But either way, 3 touchdowns is 3 touchdowns in National Football League, first career start, and he I think leads the team after now just playing one game.
Yeah, and 2 of those touchdowns were long. He had a 35-yarder and a 40-yarder. And the 35-yarder was longer, more air yards than any pass Mac Jones had in his career for a touchdown pass. The one he had that was 35 yards was a Hail Mary that should have been intercepted and went off the DB's hands and then was caught. So Drake May's already ahead of his predecessor in terms of trying to get back to any semblance of an elite quarterback in New England.
So that's why he was my winner of the week because I thought that was pretty notable that he already leads the team. He's only played one game, and the team has played 5 games now, 6 games now. So pretty notable stuff there.
Yeah, 1-6. We'll see if he can get them to 3 or 4 wins here.
I don't think they need to. They need to go rebuild and get another high draft pick. But that's a conversation for another day. Brian, who lost the week?
Angel Reese lost the week because
I always love these. Let's hear it.
She is spending $8,000 per month on her apartment, no, it's an apartment because it's on rent. So yeah, on her apartment, she's spending $8,000 per month, which is insane, absolute insanity. But her WNBA salary, which she did not know, she had to go on an Instagram Live and ask her financial advisor, who should be fired, by the way, $78,000. So she is spending more on her apartment per year than her salary.
Right. And on the face, that'll look bad. And I'm always down to rag on Angel Reese because I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole so I get killed by the viewers. But I think she's a little ridiculous. But yeah, a perfect example. You're spending more on housing than, in a year than you actually make. Because what would 8 times 12 be 96?
Yep.
So you're spending 96 grand on rent and you're making 78K, right? So on the surface, that's like, oh my God, fire the financial advisor. But endorsements, what's she making elsewhere? That's where it all trickles in, where it's like, who really cares? But you're right. It's ridiculous.
I mean, who spends $8,000 per month for rent?
She clearly can afford it.
I guess.
She's probably getting some sponsorship deals. She probably has, she has a lot of followers on social media. She does brand deals. She gets money that way. You're right. It's insanity that she's getting paid $78,000 a year by the WNBA and is spending $8,000 a month on housing. So it's almost like just what it is wiping away her salary, which I think she doesn't even care about. Clearly doesn't care about.
Even if she was getting paid $500K, it's $8K per month for an apartment is egregious. And I guess Chicago is expensive, but it's not New York City. Like you can definitely find nice apartments for not $8K. I don't know.
I'd probably find it's definitely wild, but I'd like to see. And we'll never see what her balance sheet is, but I like to see where all this other extra money comes in. She's probably getting, she could have deals where it's like, $250K to do some kind of commercial brand deal where she does a bunch of Instagram posts and this and that. And, ends up being like, 78K from the WNBA, but all other endorsements are over 2 million a year or whatever the case may be. So I think that's what it is. But just for things of ridiculous stuff, that's totally ridiculous, and I'm down to call her loser of the week for that.
Athletes just need to keep track of their money. We already saw this with Shohei. Like, just at least look at your bank accounts once a month. That's all you need to do.
At least put some thought process into it, which again, there must be some overwhelming brand deal that's making that not matter. Or we'll see in 2 years that it completely catches up to her and she's rattled. That's a wait and see moment right there. But my loser of the week stays on the gridiron, stays in the NFL, and I have like three here, but I'm only going to give you one. Um, dude, I'm really so conflicted, but I'm going to keep it light, and I'm going to save the other two for Mike of the week. And this one's just going to be Greg Zorlon. He missed two field goals. They lost the game 23-20. My math adds up correctly. If he makes those two field goals, they win the game 26-23. Tyler Bass, I think, missed just an extra point. So you can't give me the Bills guy missed, so blah, 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 it evens out. I think he just missed an extra point. And Greg 01, who's supposed to be Greg the Leg, this, that, and the third, best kicker, great kicker. Yeah, he missed two field goals. And I think one of them was under 32 yards, and kickers in the NFL were 116 for 116 or what, it was some crazy stat like that. Don't quote me on that exact number, but it was something super high where they were perfect. Greg the Leg, Greg Zorline misses it and proceeds to miss another one. The Jets lose 23-20. Sure, they just got Devontae Adams, which we'll get into in a little bit, but trouble in paradise for the New York Jets.
Yeah, I don't know what was in the water at MetLife Stadium that night. I guess I'll call it
There's
Jet
a
Life.
lot.
But
There's a lot.
I mean, the kick that Tyler Bass missed wasn't even close. I just don't understand what happened in that game.
The only thing I tried to say was it was windy. It was very windy that night. But I had some people who were boots on the ground at the stadium and were like, "Oh, it wasn't even that windy." Now I don't know if that was delusional Jet fans trying to say like that's a bullshit excuse, but to my knowledge, it was pretty windy. So you're saying the kicks weren't even that close, though. So
yeah, the Tyler Bass one, it looked like he was like a pitcher that just accidentally spiked the ball into the ground. Like it wasn't even close. I don't know where he hit it on his foot, but it was a line drive a million feet left. It made no sense.
Yeah, it really did make no sense. But either way, Greg the Leg no longer has a leg after missing two field goals and losing the Jets that game. Can we pin that on him?
I think they have a lot of other issues, and that's kind of why they got Devontae Adams. But yeah, that certainly didn't help.
Big part of it, I would say. And yeah, shot to go into first place, tie for first place in the East, and now drop either a game back or two games back. So tough stuff there. Tough stuff there. But yeah, that's winners and losers presented by SeatGeek. As always, use code FUSE from 400 to head to the game, $20 off. Jack is taking full advantage of the code tonight as he's at a concert. You can too with views from 400 at checkout. So make sure you check out our guys over at SeatGeek. Use the code and get $20 off for whatever you want to do. That extra $20 is for you to decide. But we'll jump into the college football recap here. We had a big weekend. Another kind of crazy weekend coming up here, Brian. We got Georgia and Texas this upcoming weekend. But we want to recap what just happened because we had a crazy game in Oregon taking down Ohio State in a game that I was all over Ohio State. Ohio State really probably should have won that game, but they didn't. And Oregon takes them down to go up to number 2 in the rankings and be in prime position to make the playoff at this point.
Yeah, it's going to take an all-time choke job from them now to not make the playoff. But big story here is Ryan Day is 2-7 against top 5 opponents now. That is not very good for a program that consistently recruits these great players and expects to be in national championships. If you can't beat a top 5 team, I don't know how you expect that guy to lead your program to a natty.
Well, you're never going to win a natty because that's all you play in the national title games is top 5 teams. So, I guess now they have the playoff and on some, God's grace miracle run that the 11 seed, a 10 seed or whatever, really, really low seed, I guess you would call that, makes a run. Ryan Day and Ohio State are screwed.
Yeah, and even if like say, and we'll get to Army and Navy in a bit, but say like the 5-12 game, you get Ohio State and Army just triple options them to death. I mean, at that point, you have to fire Ryan Day, right?
Oh, you have to. You have to. It's inexcusable. Inexcusable to lose a game like that. And I don't Ohio State realistically should have won this game. I mean, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. Their own quarterback shot them in the foot. But um I wanted to see them win too because I think Oregon's frauds, and I think at the end of the day, the better product would have been Ohio State. I didn't know about that Ryan Day stat, so maybe I'm wrong. But what's interesting with Oregon, and Brian, I hate to rag on you here, Brian's Pacific Northwest agenda narrative is not alive and well because I think you forgot about a football team that plays in Eugene, Oregon, and it is the Oregon Ducks. They're number 2 in the country, and they got a shot to win it all. And just to jog everybody's memories, Brian, I'll let you get your 2 cents on this in a second, but just to jog everybody's memories, Brian said no team in the Pacific Northwest will ever win a title ever again. Edmonton Oilers got to the final. He wrote them off, excluded them, said it didn't count because they were too far east. No other team has gotten that close, but now we have a team in the Oregon Ducks led by a star quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, who seems to know how to get it done. Brian's shitting his pants right now because the Oregon Ducks might win it all and put his take to bed real early. He thought he was going to get a couple of years with this take, and every year it seems to be on thin ice.
Okay, so first off, I'll preface this by saying I'm going to accept Oregon into this take. I'm not going to argue it with you because I'm sick of the goalpost moving and having these back and forth with you. But you did misquote.
Oregon's the Pacific Northwest, man.
Well, here we go again. You continue to misquote the original take that I said, word for word, because I had to go back and look because we were talking about this in the group chat. The original quote I said, word for word, was no team in any of the major sports leagues from the West Coast above Los Angeles will ever win a championship.
And to an extent, I agree with you. I think Pacific that probably Northwest. Was it.
And then you said Pacific Northwest, and that was the whole Oilers thing. And eventually I said, all right, we'll make it Pacific Northwest, even though I said West Coast, but we can have Pacific Northwest now. And
I could have sworn you said Pacific Northwest. I'll give you the sports league thing, but I could have sworn you said Pacific Northwest.
I looked it back. I said West Coast, and then you answered my take and said Pacific Northwest, and I didn't correct you. At the moment, I should have corrected you.
Yes, if you corrected it, then that would have been good.
Yeah, but
you didn't.
So I am willing to meet you in the middle here. I did say West Coast, and I did say major sports leagues, but I will include the college programs if we make it the West Coast.
Okay, so there's a give and a take here. So You're giving up, what would that be? So
no Utah, no Edmonton, nothing Utah, over there. It's got to be on the coastline.
Which would be, Seattle's there, Portland, all the
Vancouver.
College teams, Vancouver. Okay, I'll give you your West Coast. But now that we're going back to the West Coast, and you said above Los Angeles, that means the Niners are involved.
Excluding San Francisco. That's the one part I didn't say in the.
Well, they play in Santa Clara. And
no Niners, no Warriors.
No Niners, no Warriors. So we just have to be crystal clear on this right now.
Yeah, we got to put this to bed and make an exact parameter.
We do, because it's been getting really close with these teams who are making runs, and we don't have clear parameters. You can't blame me for bringing it up.
Well, it's because you misconstrue my words. That's why I keep. Okay, West Coast.
Because it's so damn close.
West Coast, no San Francisco college teams count. Can we agree on that?
Like you made that take, and 2 weeks later, the Oilers were in the fucking final.
They're not on the West Coast.
But I just had to include them because it's so ridiculous. And like friend of the program, Ben, said, it's close enough to where it should count.
No.
Because of how ridiculous the take was.
Okay, now
Either way, set the rules and I'll agree. But if you start spewing bullshit, I'm jumping in and saying that
well, no,
that's
now
no.
we've set the rules and we both know. So you can make fun of me whenever one of these teams wins, which it might be Oregon this year, honestly.
Right. Um, yeah. Oregon counts. It's strictly West Coast, including Vancouver. Right?
Yep,
So
including
Vancouver's
Vancouver.
involved. What if the Vancouver Whitecaps win it all? Which I don't think they're very good this year, but they are. If you're probably like, what team is
Is that the
that?
CFL?
No, Major League Soccer.
Oh no, MLS doesn't count. I will
It's a
say
major sports team.
no, it's not. The major
It
sports leagues are
technically is.
NHL,
Lionel Messi plays
NBA,
in the MLS.
MLB. The MLS is
Lionel
not considered
Messi plays in the MLS.
if you go up to 100 Americans for like a Family Feud game and tell them name me a major
I
sports
don't
league,
care if you
the
go up to a
MLS would
hobo.
not have one vote. It would be NBA, NHL, MLB. What I missed? NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL. Those are the four.
So
And I'll add college
so
football and college basketball to that.
so core four pro leagues, college basketball, college football.
Yeah,
That's
because they're
it.
basically
Those six.
yeah.
And it stretches from Vancouver all the way down to Los Angeles, but excludes the Warriors and the Niners.
And Los Angeles doesn't count. It's above Los Angeles.
As I said, above Los
Yeah.
Angeles, or goes down to Los Angeles. So LA's the cutoff, meaning it doesn't count. Um, I think the cutoff should just be San Francisco then. Like there's no
Yeah,
teams
that's
in
fine.
between there. There's no teams in there. Why does
Yeah.
it cut off at LA? Because like then it's not West Coast. That's why I think I always went Pacific Northwest because LA, you were like, oh, LA doesn't count. We're keeping it North, Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, the LA teams are good organizations. My whole take was Russell Wilson ruined all the bad organizations up in the top of the West Coast.
Okay. Well, for the sake of time, we're spending a lot of time on this. Uh, we'll leave it at. And again, if you need to watch this back, we can watch this back. I think we've set some parameters, some rules. But how ridiculous! I mean, the Brian makes this crazy take. Sure, I misconstrued it, or I maybe stretch the truth a little bit. But come on, a week and a half after Brian says this crazy shit, the Edmonton Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Final. So yeah, I don't blame me for having a little fun with it. But we'll leave it at that. That's the parameters, and we'll go from there because the Oregon Ducks just beat Ohio State, and now Brian's shitting his pants.
Yep, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. We love to see that. Another team who went out to the West Coast this past weekend. It's the Penn State Nittany Lions. They're usually only used to going this far once a year when they play in the Rose Bowl, and they got to go there 5 weeks into the season. I guess that was week 5, but. Oh my gosh, USC should have won that game, and somehow James Franklin found a little magic, which I don't even know what coaching he does other than sit there and try to get his team fired up. But Penn State won. Penn State tight end, I don't even know the guy's name, had what, 200 yards receiving? I mean, that guy was insane. Uh, um, they're number 3. Is this the year they finally get over the hurdle? They'll probably make the playoff because of the extended, they what, have to play Ohio State, have to play Michigan, which I think they probably will beat Michigan this year, but they've never, you could say all the stats about Ryan Day. Ryan Day doesn't lose to Penn State.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley definitely did his best James Franklin impression. I don't know how they lost this game, but yeah, Penn State gets Ohio State at home on November 2nd, so a couple weeks here. And then they don't have to play Michigan. So after that, it's Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland. So they should be safely in, even if they lose that to Ohio State. I mean, they would have been in 8 out of the 12 years of this playoff if it was 12 teams, just because James Franklin loves finishing like ranked 10th.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll get in. But yeah, this kid Tyler Warren, the tight end, 17 catches for 224 yards. He's a 3-star athlete from Virginia. And he plays fullback, he plays lineman, and now he just decides to play tight end and drop 224 yards in a comeback effort to win the game in overtime.
Yeah, the game USC should have won. I don't understand how they blew that, but again, more talent on the Penn State side, sure, and you got to be concentrated till the final whistle, and they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably it for USC's playoff hopes. They're 3-3 now. I don't see them making a run.
Yeah, probably not. Um, so they're kind of dead in the water there, but a team that seemingly was dead in the water week one and is now found a life raft, I guess you could call it, is LSU jumping up to number 8, beating Ole Miss, which, I thought Ole Miss had a legitimate shot here to finish top 5, but I'm not sold on LSU. I'm not going to hop on a hype train. I think number 8 is not right, not legit. Like, they don't feel like a team that's number 8.
Yeah, Ole Miss always. I thought about this too in the preseason. Like we did our Auburn Wire SEC rankings. I had Ole Miss way down, and like everybody in the preseason polls had them. People had them over Alabama, and
Wow.
it didn't make any sense to me. How you? I know they're talented, but like this is a Lane Kiffin coach team. When has Lane Kiffin ever done anything as a head coach? He's all flash, no execution, and Jackson Dart's great, but I don't know. I think this game told us more about Ole Miss than it did LSU. And like you said, I don't really have faith in LSU either.
No, it's just they're a team that will be fine. They'll have a bowl game as a mid-teen ranked team. Um, but I still see them missing the playoff regardless of being ranked here at number 8.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the SEC team, you're going to get Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. I mean, 90% in the playoff. And I don't know if there's going to be another SEC team that's going to fight their way into that discussion of, I guess, a wild card is what you would call them.
Yeah, and what's the only reserve spot? Would be that 12 spot? Is that like
It,
Cinderella team who
yeah,
could make a run team?
it's the top four are going to be the best four conference champions. So basically the power four, unless
Right.
Navy or Army somehow go undefeated and the Big 12 champion sucks. And then the 12 is reserved for the Cinderella. So it's
Okay.
5 through 11 are just the next highest rank.
Wild cards, so
Yeah.
to speak, if you want to call that. Um, yeah, some good stuff there. But speaking of Army Navy, Brian, they're both ranked. You and Jack touched on the last pod on how they might have to play in back-to-back weeks. Like this is
Yeah.
becoming more and more a realistic thing.
They might have to play each other in back-to-back weeks, and then one of them, or both of them possibly, will have to play a college football playoff game the week after they both play each other in back-to-back weeks. It's wild. Both time they've been ranked in the AP poll since 1945, since we beat Japan in World War II. So what's
Holy
that?
smokes.
70 years, 80 years, I think. It's the last
Yeah,
time.
that's a long time.
They
I mean,
still
my whole lifetime, I remember them both not being very good. And then there's this big hype on the Army Navy game that, has its culture or cultural meaning for it. But the game doesn't really matter. Like, it's not like, oh, a team's play. Like, that's their Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
Now, it seems like both teams could have more to play for after that Army Navy game.
Yeah, and I mean they still both play football like it's 1945 too. That's what
Yep.
the fact they can run the Wildcat, they can run the triple option, they can run these RPOs so well. It's it's gonna be a fun game. Maybe a fun couple of games if they play each other in a conference championship. And I don't know if you're gonna be the 5 or 6 seed in that college football playoff. If you want to see a USA military team that can run this well of an offense, you don't want to prepare for that on a short week.
I definitely want to see one of the teams. We should do it like I'll take one team, you take the other team, and we'll see what happens. But let's wait until the actual Army Navy game, and we'll both pick a side for that, and we could do something fun there. But yeah, both teams are in it and could create some major chaos apart from the top teams of college football for the college football committee. Right? They already have enough to worry about with picking these seeds. Now they got a logistical nightmare in having teams play back to back. Who, oh by the way, could be in conference championships. It could play each other, 2 times in a row and then have to go play a playoff. It's a nightmare. We're going to save that for the committee. We'll just eat our popcorn. Jumping in to BYU up to number 14. Brian has as a sneaky team to make the playoff. They get it done again after a close or a slow start to the game. Um, yeah, Brian, would you see this weekend that you're like, yeah, BYU's the team to get it done?
It's another blowout win. They beat Arizona 41-19. And I know Arizona, we thought they were going to be better than they are this year, but every win they've had, besides the SMU game that was kind of weird in the beginning of the year, has been a blowout victory. And even the Baylor game that was a 6-point win, they were up by like 21 at halftime, and then Baylor was at home and came storming back. But BYU looks really good. And they have no one else. They have Oklahoma State left, and they might have some issues with Ollie Gordon just because their defensive line is very small. So he may run all over them. But there's really no one left on the schedule in the Big 12 that I could see taking down BYU. And if BYU goes undefeated, they're going to be in the playoff, even if they lose that Big 12 championship. I really like BYU.
Who would it be against?
Kansas State, most likely, who BYU beat 38-9.
Okay. I think that's a wait and see. I'm still not sold on BYU. I think they're a good team, but to make the playoff, it's a wait and see. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's a wait and see for me. The team that I'm interested to see go out and win the ACC is the Pitt Panthers. They won a nail biter against Cal. Probably should have lost that game as the kicker for Cal missed a 20, 30-yard field goal. Right kind of at the end, it would have given Cal the lead. Funny little nugget that kicker for Cal was from the Pittsburgh suburbs and lost that game. So there's a lot going on there. Either way, I'll take it.
How the hell do you get recruited as a kicker for a team on the other side of the country?
I have no idea, but he returned to Pittsburgh and blew a kick.
That's
so
tough.
maybe he did it on purpose because he has Pittsburgh ties.
There's probably a bunch of friends and family that went to Pitt there, and he's like, I got you.
Yeah, he was like, I got you. You saw the boys' parlays the night before. I mean, there could be some investigation work to be done there. But either way, Pittsburgh stays undefeated for the first time in a long time. I don't know the exact date, but it is the first time in a long time. And the best team in Pittsburgh? Nah, I won't bring up that conversation just yet.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about every team in Pittsburgh?
Well, we're talking, Pittsburgh for being in college and the Steelers for being in the NFL. Obviously, we know the Steelers are better than the Pitt Panthers, but for
I don't know. With Russell
respective,
Wilson back there, it might not be.
maybe they're not, but now I'm just trying to make a funny joke. And, it's cool to see Pitt, who isn't ever known for being a football school, even with Aaron Donald at the time he was there. Not known for being a football school. And they, undefeated for the first time in a long time. So that's some good stuff to see there.
I'm trying to think. Was it DeJuan Blair? Yeah, it was DeJuan Blair. Pittsburgh.
DeJuan Blair was the basketball guy.
Yeah. You made me think of Pitt basketball when you said that. But yeah, DeJuan Blair. Shout out him.
Yeah, DeJuan Blair and they had some other guys. We're not going down the rabbit hole on that, Brad. We have a long winter to get into college basketball. But that's college football. We have Georgia and Texas this upcoming weekend. I don't think we have a preview show on Saturday, but really quick, Brian, I don't know if you'll be on it. I know everybody's going to have a busy weekend. Texas get it done?
I will be on both preview shows this weekend.
There we go.
I will say Georgia beats Texas because that is the kind of state of college football we're in right now this year.
Who's got the better value in terms of plus money? Because I think that's the more fun way to bet this one.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. Just take whatever team's the plus money. And I'm sure it'll change by the time we.
I'm sure, yeah, it'll be all over the place. But that's a fun one to preview, talk about, bet on, and then obviously watch. We'll see what happens there Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. Another big one. Real quick before we get to the NFL, I know we're dragging it on a little bit, but Bry, real quick prediction. I know you'll be on the preview show Saturday. Alabama taking on Tennessee.
This is the game I had circled from early in the year when I originally made my Tennessee is going to win the Natty take. And unfortunately,
now it's a must-win for them for that to stay alive.
yeah, I was hoping they'd be undefeated heading into this one, and they're kind of limping into this game. But I'm still gonna rock with them. Rocky Top. Let's go. You got to
That game
show up
in
at some point.
Tennessee.
I believe it is, and that's the only reason I really like Tennessee to win the Natty.
Alabama's not doing too well in the state of Tennessee this year, so maybe that's some good juice for the Volunteers there. But yeah, big college football Saturday slate. Stay tuned and tune in to our live show that we do every week on Saturday for college football. We do another one for the NFL as well the next day on Sunday. And speaking of the NFL, we're going to jump right into the preview here. Jumping into the NFL preview, the boys up in 400 will bring you through some of the best games of the weekend. There is a game on there that's a standalone game, but I already ripped on Brian for having it on there. You'll know which game it is when we get to it. We'll hit all the games here, give you our favorite over, favorite under, favorite prop, favorite, and our favorite underdog of the week. Again, full preview show Sunday morning. It's live right before the 1 o'clock slate. You get all our opinion, all our analysis, all our bets. It's going to be a good one. Make sure you tune in there. But we'll hit a little preview here, give out some favorite bets that we like. End the show with Mike of the Week. We got a couple good ones, so stay tuned for that coming up in just a little bit here. NFL preview, like I just said, always presented, sponsored by SeatGeek. Brian, first game here kicks off the new week of the NFL. Broncos traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Bo Nix back in SEC country.
Yeah, this would be my favorite if not for Bo Nix starting at quarterback for the Broncos. And he's looked serviceable, but I still can't trust him in terms of at least giving out my favorite, which I'll give out later. But, I mean, the way I look at this one, it's Sean Payton revenge game and Pat Surtain against Spencer Rattler with no Chris Olave. I just don't see how the Saints are going to move the football.
I mean, two rookie quarterbacks and pretty ugly, right? I mean, the over-unders for both quarterbacks here are under 200. I mean, 180 for Rattler, 190, 191 for Bo Nix. I mean, that's ugly.
You can make a legitimate argument, and Cortland Sutton's a good receiver, but you can make a legitimate argument the best pass catcher in this game is Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, you could.
That's really gross.
You're right. I think that's doing a little bit of a disservice to Cortland Sutton. He is a nice player. But you're right. It's not, I wouldn't say Sutton's a superstar. It's not that it wouldn't be an outrageous take.
Yeah, I said you can make an argument. I'm not saying it is, but the fact you can even make that argument is.
I could agree with that. And it shows in the over-unders. Sutton's, over-unders 45.5. Kamara's sitting there at 33.5. Second highest over-under for receiving yards. So, yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, it's going to be a gross game. And I feel like the Thursday Night Footballs have been pretty decent up until, and they've been the division matchups too. So I guess they just threw in the towel this weekend. And it's a shame because there's so many other good games on Sunday. And I know it's hard to flex a Sunday to a Thursday, but you figured they could have done something with this.
I'm fine with it. I'll sacrifice my Thursday night tonight. I have a fun business dinner that I'll be going on. So I won't even really be watching this game. I think that dinner worked out perfectly because this is not a game I need to be locked into at all.
Yeah, you'll be
check
at dinner.
My phone.
I'll be at you'll be at dinner. I'll be sweating out the Mets. So neither of us will really kick your carry.
And I'll have Kamara in fantasy, so I can just check my phone for that. I don't necessarily need to watch this game play out. But yeah, it should be a fun one. Make sure you tune in. What, Bri? Roundtable 7 hours away?
4 p.m.
4 p.m. today.
Today, yep.
4 p.m. today. I guess this drops at 7 in the morning?
Yeah, so it'll be.
I don't even know it. I feel like we've been all over the place with dropping.
7 in the morning.
Later today, 4 p.m. Roundtable comes out. We'll have Z My Guy. Brian will have his takes. I don't know if we'll get Jack. Did Jack shoot some in?
Yeah, full staff.
Oh, we got a full staff roundtable for a dog shit Thursday night game. Don't you love it? Those are my favorite. But yeah, full staff on the roundtable. Stay tuned for it. You like that one, Brian?
I didn't even think about that. We haven't had a full staff roundtable in weeks. We finally get one for this fucking bullshit game.
dog shit game. Bo Nix versus Spencer Rattler, and the boys up in 400 bring out all the stops. They got a full staff. Sound the alarms. Everybody's giving their takes on this game tonight.
You want to talk about another dog shit game?
Yeah, well, this is the game I was talking about that we shouldn't be talking about. It was thrown on there for Jack, and it's the Patriots taking on the Jaguars. They are a combined 2 wins and 10 losses. If Jack wasn't a part of this crew, we wouldn't be talking this game. If Jack was on the pod, I don't know that we would be talking about the game. Obviously, you know, I'm lying. I'm joking there. But, yeah, right. Jack's not here. You know, Pats and Jags. Here we go.
Yeah, I got 2 things to say to you, and then I want to move off this game. Drake May is the better quarterback playing in London this weekend. And Tank Bigsby is starting, and he will score about 3 touchdowns to pass Travis Etienne and put me in the lead on my bet versus Jack for who will score more touchdowns.
Wow. We have to unpack that first statement. Drake May, the better quarterback, better than Trevor Lawrence. That's got to be a joke, right?
It's a half joke, but I think at this point in their careers, when I'm looking, listen, right now, Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback. But which quarterback would I rather have? I think Drake May, through one game, has a more upward trajectory right now than Trevor Lawrence. And Jack's going to come on here and blame Doug Peterson, but you can only blame a coach so many times.
Jack's going to come on here and be furious after what I said we want to be talking about this game if he was on the pod. And then you just came out and said Drake May is the better quarterback. He's not going to come on happy to hear those 2 statements, but that's why we say them, because we need some fury and fire on this podcast up in 400.
Yeah, but I know he'll be listening / watching this at like 8 a.m. tomorrow. Probably still a little banged up from the concert and just not wanting to hear any bullshit. And we'll get to this game and he'll be like, oh, I wonder what they have to say about the Jags. And now he's going to be
I think he knows what we have to say about the Jags. Look, I'm not going to get there on May over Trevor Lawrence, but when you bring up the trajectory, I think there's an interesting conversation to be had about who would you rather have going forward. You know, it's interesting. Am I going to make a pick? No. But after what I saw from Drake May last year, I think there's a lot of talent and promise there. Trevor Lawrence, I think we just know what he is at this point.
Yeah. I'll put it this way. And this is not I'd rather have Drake May than Malik Neighbors thing, but if Daniel Jones decided to fall off the face of the earth, I'd rather have Drake May as the Giants quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. That's my thinking here.
I see. Like just plug him in right now and have him rebuild, go through these transition years with Drake May and Malik Neighbors over Trevor Lawrence and Malik Neighbors. And we've seen Trevor Lawrence with weapons. Yeah. Alvin Ridley, Evan Ingram's there, who had a great game last week. Granted, they got blown out, so loose coverage from the defense. But I mean, what are some of the other weapons that Trevor Lawrence has had? I mean, Drake May has nothing up there.
He's got Mario Douglas,
Jalen
Polk,
Hunter Henry. I mean, that is ugly.
Yeah, it's
ugly stuff. And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, look, we know he's got Gabe Davis, we know he's got Kirk, and we know he's got Evan Ingram. Now, I'm not doing a full 180. I said those are not that they're not legitimate weapons, but they're just not that good. So I'm not sitting here now saying that, oh, Trevor Lawrence has all these pieces to throw to and Drake May has nothing. But I think we can agree the Jaguars' pieces are a step above than what they have in New England.
Yeah, they're NFL caliber players. I mean, besides Mario Douglas, Patriots basically are running out of practice squad at receiver.
Basically. I mean, yeah, that's basically what it is. Are we moving on from this game? Because I think that's all we need there.
Yeah, I don't think this one's even going to be worth my time on Sunday morning.
No, probably not, but we'll wait till there. But we got a fun one in Jet Life this weekend. Eagles, only a 3-point favorite, taking on the New York Giants. Um, Eagles, I won't say play amazingly well at Jetlight. So I'm not surprised to see it only be a 3-point favorite. And after the nonsense and theatrics that Sirianni pulled on the sideline after last week's victory over a terrible Browns team, wouldn't be surprised if this one blows up in his face.
Yeah, I like. Unfortunately, I like the Eagles here. Saquon Barkley's obviously coming back to New York, and he came out and said he doesn't expect to be booed. And if I was there, I would not boo him. I don't think it was Saquon's fault at all he left. But you know damn well every fan in that stadium is going to boo Saquon Barkley.
They'll be booing him. And whether it's warranted, I think you just have to because that's what you do in the NFL as a fan base. Like, this is a guy who was your star, who went to a rival, got the contract, and now he's coming back to where he started and made a name for himself in the NFL. He's coming back for the first time. They are absolutely going to boo this guy. The boo birds are going to be out early and often. Every time he touches the football, the boos are going to be out. Whether it's his fault or not, that's out the window. That's out the window.
If anything, I'd rather have them boo Daniel Jones because he's the one they chose over Saquon. But
but again, they chose Jones and then franchise tagged, right? Isn't that how that went?
Yeah, but then because they chose Jones, they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money to get Saquon.
Right.
They had the money.
Right. Yeah. The owners seem to want him too. I mean, look, there's a lot you could digest there, but if there's, Saquon's got to be getting in the end zone. He's got to be going for 100 rushing yards. I mean, this is a Saquon like, hey, you didn't pay me, motherfuckers. Well, yeah, this is why you should have kind of game.
Yeah, and it feels like Nick Sirianni's the perfect head coach to kind of understand that and force feed Saquon. I will say, I don't hope Devin Singletary is still injured, but I hope Brian Dable sees what Tyrone Tracy's been doing, and I really hope Tyrone Tracy takes over the backfield job, and we can at least get a semblance of, oh, hey, we have a decent running back now. Like, if Devin Singletary's back there, he's fine, but he's not the future. Show off Tyrone Tracy in this game and try to get him in the end zone a couple times.
Is he a rookie?
Yeah.
Where's he from? I mean, he killed me in fantasy last week, so where the hell is this guy from?
He was at Purdue and Minnesota, I believe, but he played wide receiver and then he converted to running back. And he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield, and he's had some good runs. He's fast. I like him. He's not Saquon, but he looks like he could be a good running back.
He'll be out of the league in 2 years.
Yeah, I guess the Giants haven't had much luck besides Saquon with running backs. You remember David Wilson?
No.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Exactly your point right there. Bri, just thoughts on Saquon Barkley to this point, what he's done for the Eagles, what he meant to the Giants. What are you rooting for the guy in this game? I know he plays for the Eagles, but what do you want to see here?
I'm not rooting for him in this game. Well, we'll get to our favorite props in a bit, but when he plays the Giants, I'm not going to be rooting for him. And most of the time, when the Eagles are in the postseason throughout his career, which is inevitable, they're going to be there at some points. Maybe not this season the way they've been, but they'll be there during his time there. I won't be rooting for him then, but I want to see him have a good career. I like Saquon Barkley. He was great for the Giants. He seems like a great guy. I've never met him, but I don't know. He seems like a cool guy, and I want to see him do well.
Yeah, and I can respect that. And he seems to want to do the right things, off the field for him and his family. He seems to want to do the right things on the field for himself and the team. It's just like you said, never met the guy, but seems like a good guy, genuine guy. And want to see a guy like that do well who just, is the closest thing to Bo Jackson that we've seen since Bo Jackson.
Yeah, closest thing to Bo, closest thing to Barry Sanders. Like, he's really good. And if we drafted fantasy football today, he might have been the 101. I think that's just how much I can't believe we all missed it. Like, he's in that Philly offense, he is the guy, and we know.
I think there was too many pieces, too Like you have AJ Brown, you have Jalen Hurts who vultures touchdowns, you have Devonta Smith. People, what is Dallas Goedert going to do? It's not that they thought Saquon was going to be bad, but was he going to be good enough to invest that first overall pick when you have a guy who wasn't injured yet and Christian McCaffrey, who is the guy to invest in after what you saw him doing with the Niners last year. So I think that was more the issue is there was too much substance on that Eagles offense to where, okay, Saquon's going to be good, but is he going to be good enough to outweigh, the inevitable first pick of McCaffrey? Granted, hindsight's 2020. We see how that worked out. But I think that was kind of the thought process. I don't think we necessarily missed it. I think we just, proceeded with caution.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. It's just crazy that he's going to finish up there, and hopefully Breece Hall finishes above him, so I don't have to think about how I messed up that pick. And Breece Hall looked better once Salah got out of there, so hopefully he's fine.
He
now.
did. He looked better, and I don't remember the name of the Jets guy who is now calling the plays. He's not the offensive coordinator. Hackett's still the coordinator, but isn't calling the plays.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who's actually because they were talking about it, a bunch of different guys would have input for the play calling. So.
But the main guy who's like feeding in the plays was, I think, the Titans offensive coordinator when they were making those playoff runs with Derrick Henry, who, by the way, was a very run-heavy guy. So I think you lucked out tremendously, Brian, because this guy is used to having Derrick Henry, used to feeding him, used to getting the running back involved. And this, granted, Braylon Allen's there, and we'll see where they implement him. And sure, you could have a couple frustrating games down the line where he vultures Breece Hall. But I think this is very, very promising. And you can now have an optimistic outlook on the rest of your season with Breece Hall because we know what this guy, and again, this unknown guy, I forget his name.
I got it for Todd Downing.
Todd Downing, who was the Titans guy, he's used to Breece Hall. He's used to Derrick Henry. He'll know how to implement Breece Hall. He'll know how to use him effectively. I think this is a really good outlook and a really good turn of events for you in a season where it looked like the tomatoes were staring you right in the face.
Yeah, we'll get to it more with the Jets later, but I had Devontae sitting on the bench the last 2 weeks too. So now I'll be a big Jets fan along with the Giants. So
yeah, that's also tough though too, because now you got Devontae Adams and Breece Hall on the same team.
If the offense is better, then I'll take it. Because then they can both coexist.
The double dipping is always tough. Always tough. I think I did it last year with Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah. Well, Eckler was a whole nother issue last year.
Well, Eckler forgot how to play football last year and seemingly remembered this year. Funny how that works. One of my favorite games of the weekend, though, other than, hopefully the Eagles beating the Giants, and I say hopefully because I'm just ready for something annoying to happen. But one of my favorite games is the Texans traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Should be a fun one. Two teams who have obviously playoff aspirations and possibly Super Bowl. I mean, is this a potential Super Bowl matchup?
Yeah, I think the winner of this game we're going to be talking about on Sunday as one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. It's the Texans, their one loss was to a very good Vikings team. The Packers obviously didn't have love for a while. Now he's back. Now the weapons are back. Christian Watson's catching long touchdowns. Romeo Doubs is turning 4 targets into 2 touchdowns. The Packers offense looks really good, and the Texans defense with C.J. Stroud is really good. We could see this be the Super Bowl. Yeah, the Chiefs are still going to be there, and the Lions and the Packers have a lot to deal with just in their own division. But this could be, if this was the Super Bowl, it'd be a fun matchup.
As I said, a potential and should be a lot of points here, right? I mean, this seems like points galore. 2 young quarterbacks who should light the world on fire. I mean, this 47.5 seems too this over-under should be 54.5.
Yeah, I love your every week you seem to throw in a couple all passing lines. It's like the 300 plus yards, 350 plus yards. This could be a sneaky CJ Stroud and Jordan Love 325 plus passing yards each game.
Oh yeah. We got to check the weather in Lambeau because last week screwed up Kyler Murray because I think it was pretty windy out there. So I need to do a better job of playing weatherman as I make these 300 plus passing yard bets, which I've been pretty solid with. How many did Kirk Cousins have last week?
He should have had a lot. They put up a lot of points. But what fantasy app would tell you what the weather is going to be like heading into each game?
The sleeper app.
Yep. Kirk only had 225. They ran the ball down the Panthers' throats.
Okay. So they ran that up.
Yeah, but it's looking like 74 and a 13-mile-per-hour wind, so nothing crazy in Green Bay on Sunday.
I can live with that. I can live with that, and I think the two quarterbacks throwing the ball can live with that as well. That should be early and often. And I mean, what? Vegas always knows something. I mean, everyone and their mother is going to be on the over here.
Yeah, it's going to be a heavy public over game. And I mean, the Texans have a really good defense, but they are playing on the road. So that's going to – the issue is if Matt LaFleur decides to run the ball a lot, he's going to milk the clock. And the Texans can run the ball too with Joe Mixon. So we could see
that's why that on paper it seems like hammer the over, but like something smells fishy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Something's fishy here that I don't know that I like. So I'm not going to go and jump all over on the over just quite yet.
Yeah, here's a quick bold prediction for you before we move on. It's with the over being fishy, I bet it's like a 24-20, and the last team with the ball, if they score the touchdown, it'll go over, and if they don't, it'll go under. So you're gonna have to be sweating that out.
Yep, I could totally see that as well. But should be a fun game. I mean, when it comes down to that, maybe don't bet the over and just enjoy the game. But yeah, I want to see the Texans win because the Packers, even though the Eagles already have a win against them, which is huge, I don't need them to keep increasing their lead.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm rooting for the Texans. I really want the Texans to be that team that could challenge the Chiefs in an AFC championship because the Bengals do not look like they're going to be that team.
They don't look like they're going to be that team. And how boring. I don't want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. It's been the last 3 years. And
well,
4 of the last 5?
Yeah, Mahomes is going to get to at least the AFC championship. At least that's what history tells us. So we need a team that's going to be able to knock them down.
Right. And it's not going to be the Bengals, not going to be the Bills, not going to be the Ravens. Like, CJ Stroud, be our savior here. Enough with the Chiefs. But yeah, that should be a fun one. Another fun one that not going to be a Super Bowl matchup. Would that be a divisional round matchup, or could that be an NFC Championship matchup? Not quite sure. Probably divisional. Lions traveling to Minnesota, 2.5-point underdogs taking on the Vikings.
Yeah, the winner of this will have control of the NFC North. Which, by the way, that NFC North, the Packers are in last place and they're 4-2.
Yeah. They're the AFC North of last year or 2 years ago or whatever that crazy AFC North year was when all the teams had crazy records.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And you can make a case for all of those teams to make the playoffs with just the state of the NFC right now. But yeah, I don't know where I'm leaning in this game at all. This is one, like we said, the last game, I'm just going to enjoy, maybe take the over, but it's going to be a fun game.
As you sit here now, and again, that's why I want to ask you this before this game happens because it will have more clarity. Well, I guess if the Lions win, it still is chaotic. Who's winning the NFC North?
I think the Lions, even if they lose this game, I trust Jared Goff and that Lions team more than I trust Sam Darnold. And the Vikings, like if they get to 6-0 and drop the Lions to 4-2, it's going to be tough to come back from that. But I don't know. Lions get this matchup again at Ford Field. The Vikings are going to have to play those divisional games against really good teams. It seems like the Lions will edge out for the division.
Some interesting nuggets during the week here. Do we get TJ Hawkinson back this week? He's projected points in fantasy and he's practicing in a limited capacity. So possibly have him back. If we do, probably in limited fashion. but another weapon for Sam Darnold. Another piece. Midweek, the Vikings traded for Cam Akers. So they added another running back to take over as the starting running back for when the inevitable Aaron Jones injury happens.
Yeah, Cam Akers stinks. I'm sick of hearing about Cam Akers.
I mean, they traded for him for a reason. They know Aaron Jones has not been reliable health wise down the stretch.
Yeah, he was with them last year, was it? 2 years ago?
Who?
Cam Akers?
He wasn't with the Vikings.
Yeah, I think he was there last year after the Rams cut him.
No, he was the Rams and then the Texans.
No, but
You
mid-year
got it.
he went to the Vikings, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna have to look it up now,
I
but
don't recall that.
I think it was more of just them getting him because he's familiar with the system. Yeah, he played 6 games at the end of the year with the Vikings. He didn't really do much. He had 38 carries for 138 yards. He's not a good runner. Cam Akers in 2024 does not move the needle for me, as you would say.
I'm sorry. I'm watching for whatever reason the WNBA just popped on,
It's the finals.
and it's the game 7 of the finals. It's game 3 because they only play.
They play
Well,
five. They play five.
do they?
Yeah, it's
I thought it
three
said
for the first round, and then I think 5 and 5 for the next two.
I don't know, but either way, apparently, first of all, I didn't know Brianna Stewart had a wife. That's number one. Number two, her wife got a threatening, hateful, anti-gay email.
Mm.
How does somebody get access to her wife's email account?
Why are people still sending those? And
Yeah, like what is going on?
what good do you get from sending an email like that? And what good do you get from searching for Brianna Stewart's wife email?
Like, go get a life. Why? Like, you're like,
That's
would you have to
terrible.
pay for that? Like, what? Like, how do you get the email? Why are you sending emails? Like, unless you work at a corporate office, why are you sending emails to people?
Dude's on his Outlook account, just sending threatening emails to every
Like,
gay
did you
player.
send that from a work email? Like, what? Like, what is going on?
Oh, that's
I
that's
think that's
terrible.
yeah, ridiculous, terrible, and we either get. I mean, maybe hop on Prize Picks and take Brianna Stewart to all her overs for tonight.
Honestly.
I mean, that's not a bad play because she could go off. I, I don't hate that at all. I might do that. If you could get that on FanDuel, I might have to. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to distract us from where we were, but I just saw that update. I was like, holy smokes, who is sending anti-gay, threatening, hateful emails? Uh, Wild stuff, and shows you the world is a terrible place. We were on Lions of Vikings, though.
Yeah,
Picking
TJ
up with the
Hawkinson, you mentioned. He practiced Friday. I'd like to see him back. Last
He
Friday.
practiced. I think he's been practicing in a limited fashion. Yeah, I'll take him back. I need help at the tight end position. I kind of found some life with Tucker Kraft, but Hawkinson's a guy who's just going to go out there and get the 10 targets.
Yeah, and I think Kraft's going to start to fall off a bit here with Watson and Dobbs back in the picture.
Yeah, we saw it last week. So need him back sooner rather than later. Still no update on Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know when he's coming back, but could use him back sooner rather than later. And speaking of Pacheco, and really speaking of running backs who are hurt, the Chiefs take on the Niners in a game where it might be the only time all year you can get Patrick Mahomes as an underdog.
Yeah, they do this. They do this every year where they just make the Chiefs an underdog, and for some reason, the public is on the other team. It happened last year, and it's probably going to happen again this year. Just take the Chiefs plus 1.5 on the money line, whatever you want to do. The Chiefs are going to win this game. Stop making him an underdog.
The Niners haven't been that good.
Yeah, and Jordan Mason's banged up. I think he's going to play. He was on the sideline. And speaking of Prize Picks and betting, Prize Picks has a policy where if the running back or if the injured player goes out in the first half and doesn't come back for the second half, they get rebooted, they call it. Jordan Mason took 1 carry in the second half, so they didn't reboot any of his props and made all of his overs lose, which was pretty scummy. But Yeah, I think he'll be back. If not, it'll be Isaac Guerrero. I don't know, the Chiefs, Juju Smith-Schuster looks like he can play the Rasheed Rice role fine. Like I think they're going to be fine.
I think they'll be just fine. And dude, Patrick Mahomes is an underdog. Why would that not be an angle that you take, dude?
Yeah, every time. And whenever you can get him as an underdog, it's just take it.
Take the underdog and move on. Super Bowl rematch, by the way, should be a fun one at 425. I think this is
Yeah,
the Brady gets to call this one, so that'll be fun.
should be Sunday Night
Um,
Football, but
should be Sunday Night Football. We jump into Sunday Night Football here because the Jets take on the Steelers in a I don't even know what to call this game. Low scoring. I'll take the under 38 and a half. I mean, Jets favored on the road. I feel like this is a game where you take the Jets money line because everybody's going to be on the Steelers.
yeah,
Everybody's going to be on the Steelers.
I would be on the Steelers too if Mike Tomlin, who I've tried to, as I've gotten older, take the mindset that I know less than these coaches and I just got to accept it. Like every time the Mets lineup card comes out and I kind of question it, I'm like, well, obviously Mendoza knows more than I do, so I'm not gonna yell at it. There's no reason Russell Wilson should be starting over Justin Fields when Justin Fields is 4-2 and you're running a run first offense that's working. Why are you messing with that? I don't understand it. And obviously Tomlin must see something, but Russell Wilson, he had a decent year with the Broncos before he left, but it wasn't anything great. I don't know how much he has left.
Is he starting to fall off? I don't know. But yeah, if they throw Russell Wilson out there, we could see a full blow up disaster. I don't know why he's teasing that. I don't know why he's leaking that. I mean, is it confirmed or is
It,
this like
he said if Russell Wilson's healthy, he will start. Which I mean, I was under the assumption he was healthy and Tomlin was just protecting him and
yeah.
saying he was hurt, but apparently he hasn't been healthy and he's close. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I would keep rolling the dice with uh Justin Fields.
He's got a better ceiling. Like it just see
A
what you
better
have with
ceiling?
Fields.
And they're 4-2.
Yeah.
Like he's not throwing to like all world receivers either. Like Najee Harris isn't that good. George Pickens is fine. He's a good receiver.
Yeah.
But like after that, I mean, what do they have? Pat Fryermuth? All he does is have a cool nickname at the stadium chants.
He did have a nice catch in the end zone last week that got called back because Fields was a good yard and a half over the line of scrimmage.
Oh my God, no awareness whatsoever. I mean, it was so far over.
Yeah, it was really bad. And then the announcers were reacting to it too, like it was gonna count. And then like, wait, he might have been over the line, but
And I was actually pretty pumped for that too, because it you know, ended up having
yeah,
Chris
you got your
Boswell
field goal
get
out of it.
yeah, he trotted out there and kicked like a 40-yard field goal.
Yeah, it just doesn't make much sense. The only angle I could kind of see is Tomlin, of course, had to deal with the egos of Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and Big Ben. And we know he's good at dealing with those egos. Maybe he's seeing Pickens all upset. So he's like, Russell Wilson will make you happier. But I don't know if your team gets better if George Pickens is a little bit happier because he's getting the ball two or three more times.
Look, I think it's a spot where get him out there for one game. You're putting Russell Wilson up against a very good defense. If he goes out and loses, Tomlin didn't do anything wrong. He tried to make Pickens happy or make the locker room happy or make Russell Wilson happy. So from a coaching standpoint, he's playing both sides. And him getting what maybe he wants deep down of starting Justin Fields happens anyway because it's like, hey, we just threw Russell Wilson out there and he looked horrible.
Yeah, and
He
it's
looked
also
horrible.
I could see that too because you're setting him up for failure. Because we talk about George Pickens and getting him the ball, he's going to be lining up against Sauce Gardner.
You're setting him up for failure, but by also playing both sides, like playing into being like, okay, I'll get you a guy who can get you the ball. But oh, by the way, it's going to be against one of the best defenses and probably the best cornerback in football.
Yeah, it's
So
weird. It's weird.
it's a weird dynamic there. But uh, as we do At the end of every preview, Brian, we jump into some favorite bets of the weekend, and obviously Mike of the week coming up here in just a couple minutes. Favorite over of the slate this weekend?
So Jack called me a madman when I picked a dusty over last week with the Panthers and the Falcons. You may call me a madman for this one. But I'm going to go against the Colts' terrible defense again and Mike McDaniel off of a bye with Tyler Huntley and give you the Colts and Dolphins over 43.5.
Who is the starting quarterback for the Dolphins this week?
It should be Tyler Huntley, who is now going to be there for almost a month, and he had a bye week to kind of go over the offense more. The Colts can't defend the pass, and I think Huntley made a Pro Bowl, maybe not deservingly so, but he's a decent player.
Is Joe Flacco the starting quarterback?
Steichen's being real, just ominous about it. I don't know. He said if Richardson is healthy, kind of like the Tomlin with Russell Wilson and Fields, if Richardson is healthy, he'll play. But Richardson seemed like he was healthy last week, but they said he wasn't going to play.
That's going to be interesting, to say the least. I got a couple here, and I'm going to go with one that just seems to be reliable. It's in the dome, two high-powered offenses. It's a big number. But I'm going to take over 51.5 in the Seahawks-Falcons game. It's in the dome. The Seahawks can score points. We've seen it. The Falcons can score points. Both defenses are not very good. The offenses get it done. I get it. 51.5 is a lot. I'm taking the over because I think they get there.
Yeah, I was looking at that one too. The big number did scare me a bit, but probably on Sunday when I'm just looking at the board, it will be an over that I like.
Yeah, because probably it's 1 o'clock. They're inside. Fox cameras, two NFC teams. It's in a dome, like two offenses that can get it. I mean, that's another sneaky like Kirk Cousins 300 yards, Geno Smith 250 yards.
Yeah, it could be. And there is a
Could
part
be.
of that game that scares me. I'll save it for my favorite, but I do like the over.
Okay, but as what goes up must come down. Ryan, your favorite under for this week.
I love Jaden Daniels and I love the Commanders' offense, but there is no reason in hell a game at Northwest Stadium, formerly FedEx Field, which ironically, by the way, it's southeast of the White House. So nothing about it makes sense. There's no reason a game there should have an over-under of 51.5. And the Panthers on the road are a lot worse than the Panthers at home. I think this Commanders like 28-17, and that wouldn't get you there. That would be a little under. So I like the under there.
Yeah, it's super weird, dude. How is this game 51.5? Sure, the Commanders have been lights out. This could be a game though where it's like the Commanders jump out early, 24-7, and then it's just like a run fest, slugfest the rest of the way. So 51.5, if I had to pick between both the 51s, I'm definitely sticking with my number there. So don't hate or my number on the Seahawks and the Falcons, but don't hate the under in that game. There's a couple unders I like, and I think to save one for Sunday, I would totally take the under. Maybe buy a point or two and get under 40.5, but under 38.5 in the Steelers Jets game, I have no problem taking. I think I did that for the Cowboys game, didn't I? It was like under one of those or the Cowboys Steelers. But another sneaky one I like, and it's the two quarterbacks who are over unders are 180 yards, 190 yards, and that's under 36.5 in the Broncos and Saints game. 36.5 might be too low because I like the final score to be Saints 20, Broncos 17. Maybe jump it up to under 38.5, which look, the under at 36.5 is minus 102 right now. So by 2 points, you can get under 38.5, and you're sitting probably at minus 130, minus 145, minus 150. I mean, I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, I love that under. I just don't see how the Saints are going to score points with a rookie quarterback without Chris Olave going against Pat Surtain and a good a good Broncos defense besides him. I don't
Yeah,
see a path for
both
them to score.
defenses are relatively solid. Both defenses are relatively solid, and it's two quarterbacks who, you know, aren't really great. I mean, I'm not saying like Bo Nix is horrible yet. He's just a rookie, but like, you know, they're just whatever.
Yeah,
So
when Bo Nix is at home, I trust him a lot more to run a decent offense than, like with every rookie, than when they're on the road.
agreed. Favorite prop of the weekend, Bry.
Yeah, I have two, just because the first one is my favorite, but it's unfortunate. It's going to be Saquon Barkley to get in the end zone. It's going to happen, and it might happen twice, and it might happen first. So just all of the Saquon Barkley touchdown props. And then picking on, I know I took the under, but I'm going to pick on Benjamin St. Juste again and take Deontay Johnson's over on receptions.
Yeah, I took Deontay Johnson over receiving yards last week, and he's been hitting at an unreal clip ever since they threw Andy Dalton in there, and I don't know that it'll stop. So, you can take his receptions, I'll take his receiving yards. I think both will hit there. I like Saquon Barkley to get in the end zone once or twice, take his rushing yards as well. But again, conflicted here because there's a couple different ways I want to go with it, and I like the picks I just gave you there. Um, but I'm trying to find the game, and here we go. Tennessee Titans, Buffalo Bills. Give me Amari Cooper's over receiving yards. I think he's going to prove that he wasn't the issue in Cleveland, and that it was his quarterback, Deshaun Watson. I like to see him have a big day. They're going to get him open. They're going to want to show him off. I mean, he's going to be playing. He's a plug and play guy. He's a veteran receiver. He knows the route tree. All you got to do is plug him in and play. Same thing with Devontae Adams. He's plug and play. This guy doesn't need to like sit for 2 weeks to learn shit. You plug him in, you play him. They make your offense better.
Yeah, I like that. The only thing I just don't know, the Bills' offense doesn't seem that complicated in the passing game, but he will be, I think, limited a little more than at least Devontae Adams is, just because Devontae's familiarity with Rodgers and Hackett. But no, I do like, especially with Josh Allen. Now he's got a shiny new toy. He's going to want to hit Cooper on like a long touchdown pass.
Yeah, and I don't know. Do they have? They don't really have lines out, but like they'll probably play into that. So, dude, his over under could be in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like 36 and a half, and you're telling me this Amari Cooper's not getting 40 yards?
Could be one catch.
Could be one catch. It absolutely could be. And there's not like overwhelming target or overwhelming, pieces there that need their target share. I mean, if he plays, they'll get him the ball. There's not this crazy. He's been practicing with them all week. I mean, what more does the guy need to learn? He's been in the league 8+ years,
Yeah.
almost 10 years. I mean, I like him over receiving yards there. But favorite, Brian. Who do you like this week on the spread?
Yeah, I have two. One's going to be the Jets, but I think that's kind of boring. And then I also like the Falcons with the Seahawks having to travel from the West Coast to the East Coast for an early game. That always seems like a play.
We thought that was going to be an issue with the Broncos when they traveled to Tampa Bay. They won 26-7. So we always try to take these time difference West Coast teams coming east. Doesn't seem to phase them too often as they get up for them.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to go back to the well, and hopefully it works.
I like that a lot. I'd be lying if I said I had a great favorite for you. I don't.
It's a
But
tough week.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go with it. I'll keep it simple. The Bills are way better than the Titans. It's a big number. They win by 10 plus. Give me the Bills minus 8.5.
Yeah, I like that too a lot. The 8.5 just it scared me because it's over a touchdown. That's the only reason.
It's basically to win by 10 plus points. I mean, the Bills, this could be one of those like the Bills win, 27-10.
Yep.
I think that's very doable, especially at home. I mean, the
Yeah.
Titans' offense is not going to be able to do anything.
Will Levis is not going to have a good time in Orchard Park.
I don't think he is at all. I think it's going to be not a fun time. What's it? Is it the meme or video where he's like, "Dude, I'm straight up not having a good time
Yep.
right
Yeah,
now."
that was
As
Jack last week during the London game.
yeah, during a lot of game, that's going to be Will Levis up in Orchard Park. Favorite underdog, Brian. Before we wrap up the NFL preview of this week.
I teased it in my over, but especially if Anthony Richardson returns, I love the Dolphins +3. Mike McDaniel, this is your time to prove you are a great X and O's guy off the bye week. Colts have a bad defense. I really like the Titans, or not the Dolphins.
Sneaky Tyreek Hill game.
Could be that the Dolphin. Or my God, the Colts can't stop anybody in the pass game.
Yeah, we're about 10 minutes from first pitch, so Brian's getting his Mets jitters.
Yeah, I'm a little brain fogged right now.
Yep, I can tell. You said it when we were talking about the game of the preview. Take Patrick Mahomes. If he's underdog, take him. +1.5. I'll take the Chiefs all day. I don't hate it. I love it. So I'll take the Chiefs as the underdog. Might be the favorite. I mean, +1.5. How could you not? How could
Yeah.
you not take the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes? He's got the reps on his side. It's the whole thing. So I'll take them there. But that's the NFL. That's all the show. We do have to get into the mic of the week before we wrap it up here. And I will send it off to Brian for him to give us his mic of the week.
Yeah, I thought about making it the fact Francisco Lindor is not a Gold Glove finalist, which, by the way, is a disgrace. And I'll be quick because it's not my Michael of the week. But Mason Wynn is a Gold Glove finalist, and his outs above average was 3. Lindor's was 15. So what are we doing wrong? But my real Michael of the week is the fact Josh Allen, who we talked about in the NFL a lot, could be the first quarterback to ever hand off to multiple Frank Gores. He, of course, handed off to Frank Gore, and now Frank Gore Jr. is on the Bills practice squad. And if James Cook is banged up another time this year, he's going to get called up again. And we might see Josh Allen hand off to Frank Gore and then Frank Gore Jr.
Hey, that'd be awesome. That would be so awesome to see that happen. Frank Gore obviously played 20 years in the NFL. I mean, that guy at the end of his career, he was just, I mean, he played like for like 8 teams in 5 years, it felt like.
Yep.
Eagles
legend, Frank Gore.
Eagles legend. I mean, he's legend of half the NFL. I mean, this guy had time with. Yeah, that'll be cool stuff to see. It would have been even better if we got to see them play together.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But yeah, football's a lot harder for that longevity. I don't know the next father-son we'll get after LeBron and Bronny, if Bronny even makes the Lakers. But
yeah, holy smokes, that's a disaster in itself.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit when the NBA heats up. Oof.
Yeah, the NBA is right around the corner. I'm sure we'll have some fun stuff for that. Isn't it fun to be able to talk?
It's been a long show.
It's been a long show, man. I mean, we're sitting here 8 o'clock, almost 2 hours. What did we say? We're going to keep this to an hour. There's a lot of stuff to get to.
Yeah.
And Mike of the week here to end it off is going to be. I don't know if this is a good Mike of the week, but it blew up in his face, right? It's going to be at a team that's like, how can they be a winner? How can they lose? Like, Dan Campbell and the Lions are my Mike of the week. Mainly Dan Campbell, because he just lost the potential defensive player of the year. You guys are up by 4 touchdowns. Why are these guys in the game? You just saw why you don't leave star players in the game in garbage time. It was, what was it, late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter? You're up 4 touchdowns. Why is Aiden Hutchinson in the game? I don't know. They were running trick plays with like Penei Sewell or Sinai, whatever that guy. Like, what were they doing?
Well, they were doing that because the last time they played the Cowboys, they got that bullshit ineligible lineman that they scored the 2-point conversion on. And I think Dan Campbell just wanted to kind of shove it in the ref's face.
That was unbelievable. Dan Campbell just lost the best defensive player in football, or a top 3, top 4 player in football. A guy who will be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. He leads the league in sacks. Obviously won't after the next couple of weeks, but leads the league in sacks. You lose him for the entire year because you leave him in. So I was kind of baffled by that. I know hindsight's 2020, but man, you're up 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. I mean, Hutchinson's an electric player.
Yeah, it was definitely odd. And it leaves the door open for Mr. Derek Hall, War Eagle, to usurp Hutchinson and take the league lead in sacks. I think he's in 5th right now. So maybe not, but yeah, it was definitely weird. And hopefully Hutchinson recovers quickly. I mean,
Well,
hey,
you still have
Jax,
guys.
go ahead.
What's that? No, you got it.
Jax
What are you
Trayvon
gonna try
Walker
and throw
take.
Trayvon Walker at me now?
Yeah, Jax Trayvon Walker take looking a little better now.
Well, the Jags would never be blowing a team out by 4 touchdowns. So if he did get hurt, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't look terrible.
That's true.
I mean, the Lions are up 4 touchdowns with 3 minutes to go. If anything, they'd be down 4 touchdowns and they yank the starters.
Yeah, you're right there.
um, but yeah, no, it's a travesty because he's one of the better, if not the best, young players, young rising stars in the NFL. We have that trio. It's like Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, Aiden Hutchinson of just like electric edge rushers. That tough break for the Lions, and possibly why we're seeing the Lions underdogs. I mean, is he playing at least a point into that?
Probably. He's probably worth at least a half point.
Yeah, I mean that's a big loss for probably like I just said, a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL. But I think that wraps us up. It's a long show, one of our better 2-man shows, or one of our longer 2-man shows. A lot of segments, a lot of stuff to get into. We had to clarify Brian's Pacific Northwest, West Coast, West Coast. I'm
There
already
you go.
Pacific Northwest just sounds better. But West Coast, no professional team, and now college basketball and college football have been looped in. Huge because Gonzaga's out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about it. But either way, Gonzaga's out there. Oregon's there for football. I guess Oregon for basketball, but they're probably not winning anything. So
Got
that's been
Pepperdine.
clarified. Yeah, that's where it just needs to stop. Again, Saturday, big college football slate. We'll have a live show for you. Sunday, big NFL slate. We'll have a live show for you. Thursday night, tonight, roundtable drops at 4 o'clock. Big stuff coming from Views from 400. Make sure you stay tuned in for the next couple of weeks. Mets are on right now. First pitch is imminent. Yeah, fun show, long show. I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all I got. Brian?
You are now in the mix with DJ Savage.
Peace.
Francisco Alvarez is homering tonight. Book it.
No shot.